Hello, ma'am. Hi, honey. How are you? Good. There was good, good, good.
Sandy,
Yeah.
Bob, and Elvin there as well.
Elvin's coming?
Well, that's what Bob said.
He was in Bowling Green today.
Oh, I know it's good.
Mike Bell's coming and who else is here? Good.
She's never checked into it.
Good, good, good.
I was like, wow.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
Look for shepherds.
Yes. My Lamar's nephew or Lamar's niece married a guy whose son plays for North Willie. She's told me that. I didn't have a clue where he went, but and then I started tracking him on Facebook.
See, I didn't care.
I know.
To be quite
I
honest.
know.
But I never made it. I never
You were
did
good.
nothing. Never said a word. Now my wife did.
Oh, I know. We're just fired up. That's how mamas are. We get all worked up. Hey, right up here.
I'm like set up for it.
Well, hey Jeff, how are you doing? Good to see you. I'm hoping you all don't have to talk very much at all, even. Oh my.
I haven't seen you.
Oh, I'm a nervous wreck. Let me tell you, I don't normally have to talk, so they were gonna hopefully take it easy on me. But what I was gonna do, we made our recommendations and changes. Because of the fact that we're gonna have to supplement our budget every year, we've got to do something. It's now or never. We've got to start somewhere. So we were gonna recommend to increase our deductibles out of pockets, urgent co-pays, urgent care, prescription co-pays, all that. Right now, we don't want to increase our premiums, but that may be something we have to look at. So we wanted to kind of, Charlie said, kind of talk about this for a little bit. And then go over my spreadsheet. I've got the current rates right now. I've got what we propose for our deductibles out of pockets and all that. Same thing with prescriptions, what we got here, what we propose. He doesn't want me to really go into numbers because we're going to be on TV. So we don't really want a lot of questions. And I'm sure the news media wants to ask things and what numbers and all that. And if he asked, I have researched like the Hart County Good City of Radcliffe. I've asked manufacturing. I've talked to the two school systems here just to kind of see. Yeah. Well, I mean, employees pay nothing right now. Radcliffe employees pay nothing for individual coverage, but pretty much everybody else is paying about $80 a month. It's a single coverage, so we're not. I mean, we're okay on that. It's just deductibles. I mean, $500, but that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And it is. It is. No, it's ridiculous because of the fact that the Affordable Care Act changed and all the stuff is going towards deductibles, and he wants me to explain that to him. But that's one reason we're trying to do that is because of everything going on. So
that's fine. Okay, so after the
there's no rhyme or reason. We took the Anthem rates, what they recommended as far as what out of pocket said. There's no rhyme or reason. We're doubling deductibles. These numbers are just out of the weird. So they ask you where you
I haven't seen you in a while.
that may be when I say, Tim, let me let you explain this.
Thank you so much. This is,
Okay, do you want to lead us in the pledge? Okay, great. So when it's time, if you don't mind, I'll ask you to come up here and put your name and your group, your
true.
thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I thought you were going to, I'll be good down. Just moved out of the way.
Hmm?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 7 days.
Payroll. He does. Nobody else does.
I got one of these at home.
I'll share. Okay.
Welcome to the October 19th meeting of the Elizabethtown City Council. Councilwoman Cindy Walker will lead us in prayer.
Shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and as always our many blessings. We thank you for the blessing of our family and our friends and pray that you'll continue to watch over them. We thank you for the blessing of our employees and our first responders whose dedication and service make Elizabethtown a great city to live, to work, and to raise our families. We thank you for the blessing of the men and women of our armed services who put their lives on the line so that we may live under a flag of freedom and democracy. We thank you for the blessing of our mayor and this council, and we pray that you'll continue to guide us and give us wisdom as we do the city's business. We pray for those who are sick and ill that you would bring them peace and comfort. Thank you for our many blessings. Forgive us of our sins. These things we ask in thy blessed name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Cindy. We have a scout with us this evening who's going to lead our pledge. Would you like to come over and tell us your name and the name of your troop, please?
Hello, my name's Conan O'Donnell from Troop 128. We're a Boy Scout troop on Fort Knox, and will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. What badge are you working on?
I am working on the Citizenship in the Community badge.
Well, we're very glad to have you. Thank you. Okay, first order of business is the approval of minutes from the September the 21st. Seems like a long time ago that we met, doesn't it? Have you all gone over the minutes? They have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you. I would like to introduce you to Dylan Anderson. Dylan, would you like to stand? Okay. Okay, Dylan is a student at Morningside Elementary, and he was mayor for the day. And did you enjoy it? Yes. And he's been to our police department, our fire department, the sports park. We had lunch together. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed having you, Dylan. Good. Thank you very much. Okay, do we have a presentation tonight from the Hardin County Chamber of Commerce? Okay. They really are. We're going to call them George Jones after a while. Okay, what about the Elizabethtown Tourism and Convention Bureau? All right.
They're on top.
Hello.
I am here. I will apologize. I was probably a little enthusiastic at the E-Town High Dare County varsity football game with also probably some allergies on top of it, so I apologize for the voice. But anyhow, my name is Steve Fulkerson. My wife and I own Back Home Restaurant in Elizabethtown, and I was appointed to the tourism board by the Honorable our mayor, and so I'm here drawing the short straw and giving you the report. So here for a report to City Council meeting October 19th. Since our last update, the tourism building was used 11 days to hold 20 meetings and 705 attendees. The last baseball event for the season was held October 10th and 11th with Travel Ball Select. The remainder of the season will include soccer and football events. Also this past week, the park hosted U.S. Youth Soccer for the National C License course. This course was a sold-out course, 35 coaches and 13 states and Canada in attendance. This type of course is great exposure to coaches who will hopefully return to compete in larger events, of course. Jana Clark represented the park at the Sports Relationship Convention produced by Sports Events Media Group in Shreveport, Louisiana last week. Individual businesses, appointments along with the Team Kentucky sponsored networking events were part of the week's activities. The 2016 event calendar is coming together, and many events have already been posted to the website. A few event owners were working on final preparations for registration of websites, so those will be added as they become available. Those events can be found at elizabethtownsportspark.com. And if you aren't following us on social media, obviously we encourage you to do so. You can find a social meeting offering at touretown.com. You can also sign up for Tourism Bureau's monthly newsletter, e-newsletter. And if you're more into Twitter or Instagram, you can follow us at Tour E-Town. We love retrieving and reposting great photos. So that's it, unless anybody's got any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fulkerson. Emily West, you have an update from the State Theater, please?
I just want to give a update here on the Halloween film series. It's been doing exceptionally well. Started last weekend and continued, 2 weekends ago, continued through this past weekend. This past weekend we showed The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, which is our annual showing starring the wonderful comedian Don Knotts. We had 436 people in attendance, which was pretty record high for the year. So far we've seen almost 750 people just in the past 2 weekends, which has been great. We do continue the Halloween film series this week. So this Thursday and Friday, we're going to be showing the Angelina Jolie film Maleficent, which just came out last October. So that's fairly new for us. And then this Saturday, magician Aaron Harp is going to bring his Grand Illusion show to the stage. He's very excited about that. There's also going to be snow that's going to be coming in the theater, so be prepared for a very audience and participation show. So,
What was that?
snow. Yeah, we're going to have snow. I can't tell you more because it's a surprise, so you just have to come and see. Yeah. The following week, Jericho Woods is going to be doing a performance on Friday, October the 30th at 8 o'clock. You may know their name. They're a regional band, but they were the headliner at the Bardstown Downtown Street Festival, which was just this past summer. They were also the headliners of the Radcliffe Summer Blast, if that rings a bell at all. So this is going to be the second time they've been on the stage at the State Theater. They also have an opening act called Southern Sirens, which is an all-female group, which is, I think, pretty unique. So, and then to end the Halloween film series, 94.3 The Wolf is doing their annual sponsorship of a movie showing, which takes place at 7 o'clock on Saturday, October 31st. You can go to the Pritchard Community Center first and go to their trunk or treat event, and then come to the theater and see the movie Monster House, which is an animated film. And I just want to make sure that you mark your calendars, of course, for Shenandoah, which is coming Saturday, November the 14th. They have many #1 hits to their name, including Church on Cumberland Road, Next to You, Next to Me, and their big one is 2 Dozen Roses, if that rings a bell. Of course, they are going to have their original lead singer, Marty Raybon, because I wouldn't book the show otherwise. And just to throw one thing out there, because we're looking forward to our first ever New Year's Eve party, which of course will take place on December 31st, which is a Thursday this year, we decided to purchase a dance floor. So we purchased a dance floor. To my knowledge, it's the only one in E-Town. I don't even think any of the rental companies here have one, but we're planning on keeping it at the facility. I'm not planning on taking that out, but it is 18 by 21. So we're going to be offering that to our rental customers in the near future. It should arrive next week. Excited. Any questions?
Thank you, Emily. Okay, Mr. Bill Bennett and Miss Sandy Rogers have a presentation from the Hardin County History Museum.
Council, Mayor, Charlie, Dee Dee, good afternoon.
Hey.
We've got some good news. As you recall, about 2 years ago, Bob Hicks is a councilman. He approached me along with Elvin Smith and asked us to get funding for the movie Lincolns in Kentucky. Because of budget constraints, we just couldn't do that. but that didn't stop us. We found the money through generous donations from many individuals, including the three here and Judge Kelly Easton, and along with the Tourism Bureau. We found the money, we found the way, and working with Kent Masterson Brown, we got the movie made. So without any further talk, I'm going to let Bob talk to you about it. And then, of course, Sandy's going to give us the great details of the movie. I think it's very exciting. You guys are going to be very happy to hear the good news.
Okay, I guess it's me, Bob Hicks. You remember the movie? Kentucky, by the way, is really promoting movies in Kentucky. The legislature has set aside quite a bit of funding, tax incentive, and so on. I just, about a month ago, worked on a movie with Raquel Welch and LaGrange. It's called Ultimate Legacy, and it's going to be premiered hopefully in Elizabethtown, if we can get that done. Mr. Bill Swope relinquished one of his Rolls Royce cars for that movie, so it's kind of a star in the movie. We will be having the gala and our Lincoln movie coming up November the 13th. I know Emily probably didn't want to steal our thunder and mention that yet, but anyway, there's going to be a nice gala and dinner, and you all are invited. The public's invited. If you don't want to go to the movie and the dinner, you can just go to the movie. It's $10 for that and $50 for a combined ticket. You can get a hold of me, and I've got my name on the bottom of the brochures and flyers, or you can go to the museum or send your money to 201 West Dixie, and we'll take care of your tickets and get it to you, and we should have a really good time. It's a limited seating. The conference room, I don't think holds but about 175. Is that correct? So we want to make sure anybody that wants to go gets in early and gets their money in to do the movie and the gala. Okay, does anybody have any questions of me? All right, we hope to see lots more movies. You might want to check your history and see just how important the Lincolns were in Elizabethtown. So we'll be glad to give you a history lesson anytime. Okay, thank you.
Thank
We'll
you,
turn
Bob.
this over to Sandy Rogers. She's a president of the museum. She'll tell you more about it.
Thanks, Bob. City Council members, Mayor, I'd like to sincerely first thank you all for the opportunity and your time to speak with you today. Please review your movie flyers, and you have little RSVP cards at your desk there. And also, the gala's seating is limited to 175. But as Emily will tell us, the theater where the movie's going to be, we can have 600 people. So wouldn't that be awesome if we could have 600 people fill that for a movie about the Lincolns on his youth here in Elizabethtown, Hardin County. On behalf of the Hardin County History Museum, the board members, those that are present are Bob Hicks, Bill Bennett, Judge Easton, who is the vice chair of the board, and the general membership. Again, heartfelt thank you to the city government for being our neighbor and your support this past year. Since the inception 12 years ago, the Hardin County History Museum has become the epicenter for the collection, preservation, displaying, and presentation of our deep, deep, and rich history in Elizabethtown, Hardin County. The museum is totally nonprofit and operated by volunteers. Admission is free. The past and present efforts also include placing of new displays, lighting, technology updates, educational programs, signage, and this is exciting. We're participating wholeheartedly in all the activities centered around the downtown revitalization. We're open for second Saturdays. We're bringing entertainment in. So we feel like this is really important because we are one of the highlights of downtown. To promote the funding for operation and these activities, on November 13th, we will be celebrating Hardin County History Day with a fall fundraiser, gala, and documentary movie premiere, as Bob and Bill told you. The Lincolns in Kentucky. And the movie itself will be in the Historic State Theater. The Hardin County History Museum is the presenting sponsor of the movie documentary, which will be shown on KET and worldwide on PBS. The tourism has sponsored spots on KET, which are airing right now, and these will be shown for the next month before the event. So again, once again, Elizabethtown is getting their name out there all over KET, and hopefully, of course, the movie will be picked up by PBS. The film depicts the future president's early years growing up in Elizabethtown, Hardin County, and is produced by Mr. Kent Masterson Brown of Witnessing History Productions. We encourage the City Council and all the citizens of Elizabethtown, Hardin County, to help spread the word and attend the fundraiser and make a donation in celebration of this day and to support the Hardin County History Museum. Remember, together we all can make history. Thank you.
Sandy, I do have a proclamation. And thank you very much for, you've stated everything in here. So I won't be reading it, but this is proclaiming November the 13th as Hardin County History Day in Elizabethtown.
Wow.
So thank you very, very much. And
Thank
thank
you.
you all for, thank you.
Great. Good. Thank you all very much. This means a lot to the museum. Thank you.
Okay, Emily Willis. Emily wants to talk about winter weather preparedness.
Honorable Mayor and Councilman and Councilwoman, I am here today to give you a warning about probable events that will occur in the years from now until 2037, about that time, which is 30 years after beginning of the present Dalton minimum. Okay, I'm speaking from a book here by a man by John L. Casey, who was a worked for the, and I have it in this other publication. I don't have it in my notes. He worked for the NASA, and he advised Congress on the things about our space. And after he retired, then he started looking at charts, and he studied sunspot records for the past 400 years. And he saw long-term spot patterns that led him to develop the theory of relational cycles of solar activity, which is called relational cycle theory for short. In developing the theory, he uncovered little known cycles of the sun that are unknown by the general public and many scholars. When there are 100 or more sunspots at a time, we experience high Earth temperatures, and with 50 to 0 sunspots, we experience low temperatures. Recently, in 2006 and 7, we experienced miserable hot summer weather in the high 90s and higher. And that was before the effects of the Dalton minimum. And what I'm suggesting to you is that you make plans to facilitate clearing all city roads each time there is a snowstorm. And in that manner, the city residents will not be faced with thickly iced roads that cannot be used after successive snowstorms with no warm period between them. We were fortunate to have a warm period between the two storms in late February and early March this year, okay? But it did, like a side street that I live on, it was just accumulated there. It had tracks, ice tracks through it, but we may not be so fortunate to have the melting between them. You will have to, you possibly could either buy your own snow plows to attach to your own trucks. if you don't have them. But you could also make contracts with people who have snow plows, but then that will be contracts and you have to consider the work that you do. I'm just making suggestions so that we can avoid this problem when we have these cold winters that are coming this way. Okay?
Can I suggest, and I agree with you, we need to keep the streets clear and we do a pretty good job of doing that. But can I ask that if you meet with our Public Works, the head
Okay.
of our Public Works, because he can tell you every piece of equipment that we have. And Don, would that be possible? Yeah, because we do have snow plows and we have already bought more salt than I think we've ever bought this early before, correct? We are planning for a cold winter and hoping that we won't have it. But would that be okay if maybe you could confer with Don?
I will be glad to do that. I'm only coming here because I don't want you to suffer with lack of knowledge of this
And
possibility.
I appreciate that because I do suffer with lack of knowledge a lot of times.
Well,
But
that most people
I
don't
understand.
know. What I'm saying is that you're not dumb, but very smart people don't know about this. And obviously the government in general that's in power now doesn't really look at this, and they want to press for global warming without anything else in mind.
What I was going to tell you, as a matter of fact, didn't we just recently buy a new piece of snow removal tonight? Okay, yeah. So now I'm going to say this, and we could have a freeze and be froze up the entire winter, but hopefully we're going in the right direction.
Right.
But I really would like you to meet with Don and enlighten Don.
Okay, that'll be fine. He'd like to have a purpose for everything, I'm sure.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your concern.
Yes, I wouldn't want to be insulting you after it already happens.
Oh,
And that's not my purpose.
I
Okay.
know that, and I thank you
Okay.
very much.
All right.
Thank you, Don. Mezzanine Peddlers Association. Peddlers.
Peddling.
There goes my limited knowledge again. Peddlers.
City Council Mayor, thank you for having me. I'm not peddling anything, but I do like to paddle a lot. Yeah, I am peddling a lot of paddling. I just wanted to stop today and at the request of Councilman Terry Shipp and give you an update as our last two events that we hosted at Freeman Lake Park, and to kind of let you know how those turned out. The first event, we had a fishing tournament, and all the money was donated to our local DAV chapter here in E-Town, and we raised about $450 to donate to them. And the second event, which is a first for Elizabethtown, the Moonlight Paddle at Freeman Lake Park. That event was held last Friday night. We had approximately 60 people and about 48 boats come in from as far away as Brett County, Greene County, and Taylor County. People came in for that event. So that was first time ever, and I'm sure we can improve on that, but doesn't sound like a large number, but when you put that many boats out there on the lake after dark, it really is a lot. We had some folks that were a little nervous about that, but we had a safety boat out there, and everybody that participated did very well. We had glow sticks, and everybody had their life jackets on, so everything went very, very well. We did have to compete with Big Blue Madness that night, so that was I didn't see that coming, but we had a little cold front move in, but overall it was a very successful night. We raised about $810 through donations and registration fees, and all of that money will go to the City Parks and Recreation Department to purchase additional kayaks to be kept at the lake. We're trying to get another tandem seat boat there for them. But I wanted to give you a couple other updates. Since you've changed the policy for the dollar boat launch that we had done previously, I wanted to share with you the ramifications of that decision. Since adding the kayaks to Freeman Lake, I just left the lake this afternoon, they have rented out the kayaks that we donated to the lake 398 times so far at $5 an hour. It's almost $2,000. And I believe the income from your dollar boat launch was somewhere around 900 and something dollars in previous years. So already to the good, and there's still time to paddle, still time left in this year. I did want to share with you the impact of the handicap dock. I know there was some trepidation about doing something like that, and it was the first one in the state. But our handicap boats have been rented out over 24 times. And actually, they're not rented out, they're given out for free. So they have been used over 24 times. We've conducted training for the Health South amputee group. They brought approximately 20 amputees plus support staff to the lake for a training session. Many of those members had never been on the water since their accidents or since their amputees. So that was very, very thrilling. Some of them said that they would be bringing their kids back, and that was the whole purpose. We've also trained over 24 wounded warriors and veterans. They have come out to use the facilities, and many of them suffer from PTSD, so they don't need the actual handicap boats, but they were out there to learn how to do it for the first time. So I just wanted to share that news with you. We are continuing to do events, and we hope to repeat the Moonlight Paddle in years to come. We may adjust the date to get a bigger crowd. But the promotional stuff that we did on behalf of the two events, we promoted it through social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all of the high tech, I guess, stuff you can do. We also promoted it through 2 Louisville television stations. The video alone on Wave 3 was viewed over 5,800 times. That was promoting Freeman Lake and Elizabethtown Parks and Recreation. So just to let you know that those things are getting out there, and we're doing our very best to thank you for helping us put the dock in and allowing us to do what we do. All right.
Thank you, Matt. It's a great addition to Freeman Lake Park.
We thank you.
And Matt, one thing I'd say too, and the reason why I wanted you to bring that report in, you know, most groups are trying to raise money for their group. These guys are going out raising money so they can give it away. You know, in this case, giving it back to the city. So it just, and looks like you guys had a wonderful time.
We did. We had a great time. Hopefully we can do it again next year.
I've already heard suggestions for winter roast and marshmallows and everything.
I'll be a lot more suggestions that I can handle, but we'll do the best we can.
Thank
That's
you,
for sure.
man.
Thank you all.
I do have one appointment tonight. I'm appointing Marnie Claggett to the Historic Preservation Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2018. We have the first reading of ordinance number 16, 2015. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to let Mr. Hawkins come up and answer any questions you have, okay? Authorizing and approving the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds, series of 2015, in the principal amount not to exceed $7,500,000 for the purpose of refinancing various public projects through the refunding and retirement of certain of the city's outstanding general obligation funds. Now, Mr. Hawkins, do you want to come forward and answer any questions the council has?
Just give you an overview. What this is if some of you remember back, I'm sure everybody remembers the sports park bonds. Were issued basically in 3 phases. The 2010 series were issued with, they were called Build America bonds. And there was a clause in there where the federal government would help subsidize the interest rate. Our Hilliard Lyons folks put a clause in there that said, if for some reason the federal government doesn't pay their full subsidy, we do have the option to refinance. They've been paying, just not 100% of what they're supposed to. So Chip Sutherland from Hilliard Lyons called me and said, we have an option to refinance these bonds. So we've been working with them, and I think we had talked a little bit about this in the spring, but like everything, rates change, so we held off on it. Rates are back very favorable right now. So what we're bringing to you today is to refinance. It's not 100% of the 2010. I think the bond, the value is like 8.4 million. We're looking at doing 7.5 on this refinancing. The reason is we're allowed $10 million in bank rate tax-free financing per year, and we've already done part of that. So we're taking the rest of the money for this year and refinancing 7.5 million. Good news in a nutshell is basically that we'll save about $30,000 a year on the refinancing. So that'll help out, the payment will, I think I've been saying the payment's gonna stay the same. The payment's actually gonna drop by around 30,000 a year. What we're looking for is if, with approval tonight, and then in 2 weeks, if we get the final approval, looking at possibly having the bond sale the Tuesday after the second reading. I'll try to answer any questions I can. If not, we have Chip from Hillier
I
Lyons
just
there.
wanted, you're gonna refinance the majority,
Yes, 7.5 out of the 8.4.
and then with the remainder, you're gonna leave the way it was?
We'll leave it the way it is, so we'll
Are
still
you-
have the government subsidy
Are
attached to
you
it.
gonna accelerate the payments on that, or is there any benefit in accelerating the payments on that?
We still have the government subsidy on it. Right now, there's no talk about paying it off early, but that is something that we can discuss.
Jeff, you said, would you explain the phase? You said this first phase?
Well, and remember when the bonds were issued, you have the 2010, 11, and 12 series of bonds. The 2010 are the only ones that had the clause in there, the Build America clause. So that's the only one the government is currently subsidizing. So that's the only ones that really we can refinance. So we're just trying to take advantage of the clause that was in the original bonds and saving some money. in the
We have
process.
the option next year, if rates are favorable and we're within our bond refinancing, that we could refinance the balance that's left off the 8.4, which I guess about 900,000 there. So we could do that with that.
So we can explore
That clause still remains with that balance that's left.
Any other
But
questions?
actually, the payments are gonna be less.
A little bit less, yes.
So if we wanted to make, if we were accustomed to making the same payment, we could actually pay off early, especially on that smaller.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually, they can't pay it off. You can put it into a fund to retire the debt early, right? You can't pay over and above, is that? Like on the, yeah, I'd get Chip to verify that. I think you can't like pay extra on a bond, like you can on your mortgage.
Okay.
But you can put it into a fund to retire it early, so
And then make that
then
lump payment.
make a lump sum payment.
Make a
yes.
lump sum. Whenever you accumulate enough in the fund,
Right,
pay it
We
off.
did that with the tourism building.
right. You can't, what they were asking is.
Tell
can we-
either room, everything works
Yeah.
out.
Well, his question was, we can't like pay additional principal on the bond like you can a mortgage. I said you can put it into a retirement fund.
Right, well, these bonds are, the 2010 BABs are callable now at any time because the government defaulted on their obligation to make the payment. So we could, but, most issuers with this BABs program are just taking advantage of it from an economic standpoint. We did the same thing with E-Town City Schools. They had a Build America Bonds issue, and they wouldn't have refinanced it had they not saved money. It just so happens, hey, we can save money, let's go ahead and do it. So,
And of course, like with anything, time is of the essence. That's why we want to get moved. And the rates actually got better since the last time we talked, so the savings increased a little bit, so we just don't want to hit the downward turn.
Okay, everybody okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a motion to read the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed?
Okay, ma'am. With both of these bond ordinances, they're lengthy, and I'm going to read the bond summary as written by our counsel for these bonds. For this one, it's Steptoe and Johnson, David Malone. So the ordinance authorizes the issuance of not to exceed $7,500,000 of the city's general obligation refunding bond series of 2015 to be issued for the purpose of refinancing and retiring a portion of the city's general obligation bonds taxable series A of 2010 dated August 4th, 2010 from the Build America bonds originally issued to finance the acquisition, construction, and equipping of the first phase of a sports park. Uncertainty with respect to federal subsidy payments as well as lower interest rates for the refunding bonds now prevalent in the municipal bond market will enable the city to realize a substantial savings in interest cost over that now being paid for the prior bonds. That by the adoption of the ordinance, the city covenants with the owners of the refunding bonds that it shall, if necessary, levy each year a tax in a sufficient amount and appropriate in its annual budget, together with other monies available to it, an amount of funds sufficient to pay the debt charges on the refunding bonds as defined in section 66.011 sub 4 of the KRS. The section of the ordinance levying such bond tax states as follows. And that pursuant to section 157 of the Constitution of Kentucky and section 66.111 of the Act, there is hereby authorized to be levied, and the city hereby covenants to so levy and collect each year that the bonds remain outstanding, the bond tax in an amount sufficient to provide for the full payment of the principal and interest requirements of said bonds. Said bond tax to be levied only if the project revenues, if any, are not sufficient to pay the principal and interest requirements of the bonds as the same become due. The refunding bonds are to be sold at a publicly advertised competitive sale. And a copy of this ordinance is available in the office of the city clerk here in the city of Elizabethtown. And this is read for the first time the 19th of October, 2015.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Okay, the next ordinance is ordinance number 17, 2015, authorizing the issuance of up to $35 million principal amount of industrial building revenue bonds, taxable series 2015, and one or more series for the purpose of financing an industrial building project, which is Acumetric LLC. Now, Michael Holtz and Jeff Hawkins want to come up and answer any questions about this. Michael Holtz is with Bingham, Greenbaum, and Dahl.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Holtz. I'm associate at Bingham, Greenbaum, Dahl. Our firm represents Acumetric, which, as you know, was acquired last year and is looking to expand its operations on Ring Road, including expansion of its headquarters to roughly 150,000 square feet. As part of that expansion, the company is going to, over the course of the next several years, hire an additional 77 employees by its estimates and maintain its current workforce. Doing so will bring roughly, over the course of the 30-year bond, $90 million in extra taxes. There will be no obligation to the city, no financial obligation to the city. The company will pay to the Board of Education over the course of 30 years an amount equal to roughly $4 million. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer any specific questions.
Didn't we already do this?
No, we didn't already
Back
do
when,
this.
back when all this happened with Acumetrics, wasn't this discussed?
It was discussed, yeah. Right on that, we discussed it, but we've never enacted this.
Didn't get your approval to do this. Back in June of last year.
And
Yeah, correct.
the city's role is basically we're the conduit for this, is that correct?
Right.
Yes, sir.
The key phrase was no financial
I
obligation.
understand that.
Otherwise, you're over your bond limit again.
No, we're taking our rate first.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? Thank you very much, appreciate it. We have a motion to read the ordinance. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Okay. And this summary is written by Bingham, Greenbaum, and Dahl. The ordinance authorizes the issuance of not to exceed $35 million of industrial building revenue bonds, series of 2015, to be issued for the purpose of assisting Acumetric LLC, a Kentucky limited liability company, in financing the acquisition, equipping, and installation of industrial building facilities consisting of the acquisition and improvement of real estate and industrial facilities located in the city of Elizabethtown, together with site improvements and appurtenances, new equipment, and machinery. The acquisition, equipping, and installation of the project will result in the retention of industry and a substantial number of employment opportunities in the community that would otherwise not be available. On June 9, 2014, the City Council of the issuer adopted Municipal Order Number 29, 2014, authorizing industrial building revenue bond financing for the benefit of the company and affirming the issuer's agreement to undertake such financing at the appropriate time, subject to the compliance with the provisions of the Act. The section authorizing the issuance states as follows. The mayor, the city clerk, the city treasurer, the city attorney, and other appropriate officials of the issuer, and each of them for and on behalf of the issuer, are hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to do and perform any and all things necessary to effect the execution and delivery of the lease agreement, the security agreement, the bond purchase agreement, the pilot agreement, and related documents, and the performance of all obligations and the preservation of all rights of the issuer thereunder, the execution and delivery of the bonds, and the performance from time to time of all other actions of whatever nature necessary to carry out the authority conferred or contemplated by and the purposes of this ordinance, the lease agreement, the security agreement, the bond purchase agreement, the pilot agreement, and the related documents, and further to approve and to execute all papers, documents, certificates, and other instruments that may be required for the carrying out and effectuation from time to time of the authority conferred by and the purposes of this ordinance, the lease agreement, the security agreement, the bond purchase agreement, the pilot agreement, and the related documents, or to evidence said authority and purposes. A copy of this ordinance is available in full in the office of the city clerk of the city of Elizabethtown, and this is read the first time on this, the 19th of October, 2015.
Thank you. Ordinance number 18, 2015, permitting operation of golf carts on public roadways, establishing qualifications for operation, exempting same from title registration and emission compliance, and notice of preemption by transportation cabinet. Tracy Schiller.
He's here somewhere.
Okay.
Standing outside the door.
He was out there.
Okay. Yes, yeah. Did I say that too fast? The operation of golf carts for business usage on public roads. Did you find him?
There he is.
Would you like to talk about golf carts?
Okay, I'm sorry I stepped out for just a moment, so I'm not sure where we are in relation to this topic.
We are we just started.
Yes, about a week or so ago, I was contacted by the UPS in reference to a new program they wish to initiate here in Elizabethtown. New to us, not new to them, nor to the state or the country. To, I guess, bring this thing to as quick a summary as possible can as it relates to the project. Basically, what they're doing is to increase, I think, their efficiency in getting their deliveries made, maybe lowering the footprint as it relates to some of the, I guess, the green space, if you will, I guess, or that's the proper term. But instead of having the trucks in the neighborhoods as they have, they're talking about actually putting shipping crates similar to the ones you've got on like the pods that you've seen in some of the other areas. These will go on a location that would be designated and approved by the city, and that would contain the product or the packages that the trucks would bring into a neighborhood. They would be contained there. They would use golf carts that would be specifically equipped to handle these packages and to deliver them into the residential areas surrounding that. Just so you understand that these golf carts are specifically designed for that purpose. They pass certain codes and regulations to enable that to occur, and that it's a seasonal opportunity, so it only goes during the heavy shopping season of the year, and at which time, of course, the golf carts and the pods would be removed. So again, the idea is to place the pods in an area. That pod would contain the packages. The golf carts would be used to distribute those packages throughout the neighborhoods. The golf carts cannot travel on any roadways that are greater than 35 miles per hour, nor can they cross a roadway that's greater than 35 miles an hour. So geographically, they become very well defined as it relates to how they be used.
So the pod will be put in a commercial parking lot, and then the golf cart would operate from there into subdivisions. They won't be going across the city out in the major roadways.
So where do they park the golf carts? Where are they stored?
They would be stored either probably inside, directly
Inside
inside.
the pod?
Typically, the information I've got is that they would have that pod set up so at night, when that's shut up, they put that inside the pod, lock it up.
So Chief, the pod though, it's gonna have to be in the neighborhood as well.
Yes, it would have to be situated in such a way that it would be close enough to the neighborhood so that it could be accessed by a golf cart, not to violate those rules, which is the 35 mile per hour limit.
Do we have any subdivisions where they can do that without even crossing the road?
Yes, we
Well,
have
look at the one behind me.
Now, 35, they can operate on a 35 or less, not greater than 35.
Right.
How many,
North Miles here.
how many neighborhoods do we have with commercial parking lot?
We've got several actually that are contingent to that. So I think that they've got several locations that they're talking about. I think that's the from Foxborough area is one, and then Starlight area, this way they described it, is the other.
Tracy, the pod will be on private property or public property or private?
It would have to be in an area that's zoned for commercial use.
And UPS will negotiate with the homeowner.
Yes.
Yes, and they're already doing this in Lexington, Bowling Green,
To
Louisville.
make sure you understand, Ron, it won't
Yeah.
be residentially zoned
Mhm.
property.
as Tracy pointed out, under the zoning ordinance, these type of temporary structures are permitted uses in some of our commercial zones.
Already?
All, currently, yes. We allow, I mean, if you go out to Walmart, they've got 50 of them behind their building right now for their anticipated Christmas layaway storage. I mean, so we have a number of businesses that use these type of temporary storage facilities. So that is a permitted use in our zoning ordinance, but it is in commercial zones. So yes, they would have to locate that unit in a commercially zoned piece of property. And as you all pointed out, it'll be up to them to negotiate whatever leases or arrangements that way. The ordinance that is being presented to you all anticipates a permit being issued. The police department and our department would jointly review those locations to make sure that the roads to be serviced meet the criteria for the speed limit and accessibility. And then our office would actually issue a permit that would have to be displayed by UPS. So the police would then know if they see, or somebody calls and says, I see this in my neighborhood. I mean, there will be a permit displayed on the golf cart to show that the city has reviewed it and permitted it. We've had some discussions with UPS, and we do think there are a number of locations that they can look at that, again, they'll make a business decision on their deliveries and the concentration of housing units and stuff. But there are a number of locations that would meet this criteria that they could operate with.
Will this permitting process apply only to the UPS pods, or will it impact those pods that are already in place?
No, it applies to this ordinance, which is golf cart usage with the pod containers.
It's already allowed a pod.
Is a pod a nice name for a shipping container?
Yeah, yeah, it's a temporary storage container, pod, whatever terminology, shipping container, whatever you all are comfortable with. But I mean, it's temporary. So when we issue the permit, I mean, we will have a limited time that they will be allowed to remain at that location, as we do with other units.
And that requires a reapplication year to year. Just so you know, the golf carts do require an inspection. The sheriff's department actually will conduct that. If they pass that inspection, then that indicates that they've met all the requirements by laws or at least for it to operate on those roadways. And at which point in time, then the next step would be whether or not they can meet the requirements as relates to where they locate the pods and the geographic location where they intend to make the deliveries, so that they don't violate any of the rules relating to
Well, from the
roadway
planning,
construction.
from the planning department perspective, are you concerned at all about a parking lot being right next to a subdivision because they can't cross a road with more than 35 miles per hour? Are you concerned with a parking lot being filled up with 10 pods, 10 shipping containers all through the holidays? and stuff?
Most of the areas, Terry, where are probably in our newer commercial areas that already have our perimeter screening in place. Am I concerned about a total number? Sure. Do I think we have some screening in place in this first year to look at things and be appropriate? I do in the location. I mean, they haven't told us specifically the locations, but like I said, Tracy and I have looked around the city a little bit on where we potentially think they're going to go based on discussions with UPS. And I think they will be located, like I said, on commercial properties that already have screening in place. So I think from that standpoint, we'll be okay. It is something that we will look at based on the numbers. And if we feel that after this first year of doing this, that we have some issues or excessive things, I think we'll come back to you all. But initially, the areas they go in, because we already have screening in place, I'm not sure that most people will. I mean, I'm sure they'll be somewhat visible.
Will
but
they will be. Do we have the authority yet under the proposed thing to deny? I mean, if we don't think that's can we deny there?
Yes, the ordinance says the locations have to be approved jointly by the police department and the planning and development department.
So if we don't, or if the police department doesn't think that it's a favorable spot, we could turn that down.
If
Do
we,
Do we have any idea as to the number that we're talking about? We don't.
I mean, the
I
number
don't
of
have a number. I will
local-
tell you that the impression I got from the conversation was that I think that this is kind of an experiment for them in this area as well. So I anticipate that to be a rather low number this year. Now they could expand next year.
And you said St. Matthews. you have
Bowling
talked-
Green,
They're already
Lexington.
doing that.
Yeah.
Oldham County.
Yeah.
Shively, St. Matthews, Bowling Green, they're looking at
Lexington.
Georgetown and some other communities this year. Yeah, Paducah. They're also, I mean, in our region, they're looking at, in addition to Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. I mean, so it's an effort that they're looking at corporately to, as the chief said, I mean, in discussions with them, I mean, they will reduce the time some of the trucks are in the neighborhood and those kind of things.
so could we expect if this were successful that FedEx might want the same
Sure.
I would think so.
Sure.
extension of that? And anybody can request it. I mean, once we do this, it's not just UPS.
That
It
is
could be
correct.
anybody. It
That
could
is
be
correct.
Terry's Trucking Company. or
That is
whatever.
correct. That
But it
is
has to
correct.
be a commercial entity. I
Yeah,
can't just take my golf cart out and ride around.
That is correct. The way the ordinance is written, it is directed towards business operations. And as the chief said, the vehicle itself, the golf cart has to be there's an inspection, a vehicle inspection process that they have to go through also. But yes, Terry, you're right. I mean, it may open it up to other businesses looking at this as a delivery model for their business operations.
I think that, again, this year will be an experiment for them as well as I can experiment for us, but then they haven't decided any locations, and those locations are examples of places that we can accommodate that. So we don't know for sure where they intend to put it yet. I'm sure they're going to wait to see what we do here and then make a determination. See how much we're committed to,
I'll
I
just
guess.
tell you what my concern is. My concern is, when we go through election years, we have semi trucks with signage everywhere, and nobody likes the way that looks. And now I don't want to go through the Christmas season to where we have these pods, which for the most case, they're not attractive. And they're sitting right next to neighborhoods all through the holiday season. And if we don't really have control and know exactly where those locations are going to be, or for that matter, what the pods look like.
Well,
You see-
actually, if it's in a commercial, if it's in a bank parking lot, we could
they could
stop that
already do it.
anyway.
I think it's already existing.
Yeah.
They can already do it.
Now, we do have control through the planning. Planning
Right,
department can say yes or no on the location.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll look at the location and make sure they're accessible and like I said, and that they're not blocking driveway lanes and those kind of things. And also look at the screening issues. But like I said, most of those areas, I mean, the screening is already in place. I mean, I don't know how many people know the number of those units that sit behind Walmart because through our zoning regulations, there's a fence and then there's landscape buffer to do that. In most of our other commercial areas that again are on the perimeter of the commercial area adjacent to those residential have those same kind of screening requirements. So,
Well, and
I mean, I'm not going to tell you you're not going to see it at all, Terry. I mean, I think your concern is legitimate and it's one that the chief and I have talked about with the mayor and Charlie and Dee Dee when we looked at the ordinance. And like I said, I think we will monitor that. And if we feel we need some additional standards to look at in the future, we'll do that for you. But
Well,
initially, I mean, it's required to commercial areas.
Not only additional standards, but again, we have the right to say no if we don't think that it, I mean.
Yes, the way the
it's-
ordinance is written, I
Yes,
mean, it has to
right.
have our joint approval.
Exactly. So we can be unhappy with you all rather than. Bottom line.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There's Christmas gift.
Here you go. Merry Christmas.
Any other questions? Thank you all very much. Thank you, Ed,
Chief, question.
Tracy.
Security and safety issues that come along with the holiday, receiving and ordering online and leaving it on your doorstep. You've got vandalism out there. I don't personally live in a subdivision. I don't think it would be access to my roads. But like the University Estates, there's not really anywhere to put pods that are that large unless you go to school or across that major highway at
And then we won't allow that to happen, is what we're saying. That's, the church is probably zoned residentially, so it won't happen at that location.
With that big of a residential area, that would be ideal for UPS, but not ideal for us.
That's what we're trying to tell the council. We do think there are applications that they will be able to do this in, but we do think they're limited in our community too.
I wonder
That- yeah.
if we have bad roads, they can actually manipulate those cars. It's true. Doesn't sound very safe.
And it sounds great for somebody that don't put, they're going. So more than a heavy truck, safety for them, I see that.
I would say if they get to the point where it's unsafe for them, they probably won't operate those. They'll probably go back to the regular service procedures. And I would guess that many of the places that are doing this are ones that typically don't have those types of winters. And unfortunately for us, last year was an exception to that.
But if it's not obviously in the list of correct, would be UPS that would pull it there.
Okay, thank you all very much. Okay, I need a motion to read ordinance number 18, 2015.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We spent today revising it and working on it. I don't have a good summary yet written, but I'm gonna read the first whereas clauses, and I'm going to sort of verbally summarize it. Y'all will each have a copy of it, go over it. You'll read it today. We'll finalize it in 2 weeks if it's acceptable to all of you. I think the Ed and the chief mentioned they do want to start this at the beginning of November if it works out, because our second reading wouldn't be until November the 2nd. November 2nd, so, all right. Whereas, and there is a Kentucky revised statute number 189.286 that really governs a lot of this and controls this, but it does allow us to pass an ordinance which specifically regulates this activity. Okay, whereas by enactment of the Kentucky Legislature, KRS 189.286, the operation of golf carts for business usage on certain roadways may be authorized by the local government legislative body where such operation is deemed to be appropriate. And whereas KRS 189.286 permits the operation of golf carts for business usage on public roads upon promulgation of an ordinance of the local government, and whereas KRS 89.286 subsection 2 places certain limitations on said operation of golf carts and requires the legislative body of the local government to specify those roadways for which KRS 189.286 applies. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, that from and after the passage, approval, and publication of this ordinance, that the city may permit and regulate the operation of golf carts for business usage on certain roadways of Elizabethtown for certain specific uses and times as set up below. We then give the statutory definition of the golf cart. We identify that, again, and the statute says the same thing, that it, that they cannot be used on any roadway. It can only be used on roadways that are posted for speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. Let's see, they have to have, now, and again, this is by the statute, they have to go and get a permit from the Hardin County Sheriff. And the chief and I today went and met with Sheriff Ward, and we are going to work out a procedure by which they'll go first to them, get their permit. We're going to develop some little, application process, that they can then bring to us, and they'll have to go to the Department of Planning and Development and to the E-Town Police Department, to those designated persons who will handle these things, and we'll have a permit developed that they'll have to post on each of the golf carts. The fee for, and this, again, is by statute, the fee is $5 for each golf cart application to the Hardin County Sheriff's Office, and then $10 if a trip is required by the designee of the Sheriff's Office to come to the place where the golf carts and pods are. The operator, let's see, has to, cannot cross any roadway where the speed is more than 35 miles per hour. They have to have a valid driver's license. The golf cart can only be operated between sunrise and sunset, and has to display a slow-moving vehicle emblem. Also, obviously, as we said before, has to be approved by our department, by the police department and the Department of Planning and Development. Let's see, they have to have proof of insurance. They are subject to traffic regulations. They do not have to show it's not a true motor vehicle in that they don't have to show a title and a registration and have emissions compliance, which we don't require in this county anyway. Let's see. Transportation cabinet may come in and tell us it's not appropriate on whatever roadway they have control of if we try to let them and they don't like it. This does not apply to golf, our golf community, our golf neighborhoods in any way, shape, or form. This is very specific, as we said before, to golf carts being used in conjunction with a business endeavor. The pods, as you've discussed, have to be placed with the approval of the Director of Planning and Development and the Chief of the Police. We are going to have a permit fee of $100 for each application. And we consider each location to require a separate application. And we also require the businesses to have a city business license. And then if there's any violations, we're going to take those through our code enforcement board. So, oh, sorry. So that's our first reading on this, the 19th of October, 2015.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Okay, the next, we have Municipal Order 56, 2015, approving the purchase of a 2016 Ford 4x4 1.5 ton truck from Glen Ford Lincoln in the amount of $69,887, which is the state bid price. Motion to read the order.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
At a regular meeting, the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the date set out below, a motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Be it ordered that the City of Elizabethtown authorizes the purchase of a 2016 Ford 4x4 with snowplow, dump bed, and spreader from Glen Ford Lincoln in the amount of $69,887, which is the state bid price. This vehicle is for the Department of Public Works. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and or her designate is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order. Read, adopted, and approved. This is the 19th day of October, 2015.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Motion to adopt the order.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Municipal Order number 57, 2015, approving the purchase of a 3/4 ton truck from Bob Hook Chevrolet in the amount of $38,624, which is the state bid price. Motion to read the order.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. None opposed.
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the date set out below, a motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Be it ordered that the city authorizes the purchase of a 2016 3/4 ton 4x4 truck from Bob Hook Chevrolet in the amount of $38,624, which is the state bid price. This vehicle is for the Department of Public Works. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and or her designate is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order. Read, adopted, and approved. This is the 19th day of October, 2015.
Thank you. Motion to adopt the order.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Municipal Order number 58, 2015, approving the purchase of a skid steer loader from Wilson Equipment Company in the amount of $37,999, which is the state bid price. Motion to read the order.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed.
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the date set out below, a motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Be it ordered that the city authorizes the purchase of a Case SR 175 skid steer loader from Wilson Equipment Company in the amount of $37,999, which is the state bid price. This equipment is for the Department of Public Works. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and or her designate is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order. Read, adopted, and approved. This is the 19th day of October, 2015.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Municipal Order number 59, 2015. Oh, my goodness, did we forget that? Okay. All right, yeah, we were moving right along. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, good. Now, Municipal Order number 59, 2015, accepting the bid from R.L. Smith Company Incorporated for the gas department sandblasting and painting project in the amount of $29,208. Motion to read the order.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed?
At a regular meeting of the City Council of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, held on the date set out below, a motion to read and adopt the following municipal order was duly made, seconded, and approved. Be it ordered that the city accepts the bid from R.L. Smith Company Incorporated for the gas department sandblasting and painting project in the amount of $29,208. Be it further ordered that the mayor of the city and or her designate is hereby authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to perfect this order, read, adopted, and approved this the 19th day of October, 2015.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Motion to adopt the order.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now, we're going to talk about health insurance. Mrs. Barbara Jones going to enlighten us on health insurance.
Fun, fun.
It just gets better and better.
It
doesn't
does. Every year it gets better and better.
Yeah.
You all hopefully got my memo. Of course, you're aware that the health insurance is funded by city funds as well as the premiums that the employees pay. We wanted to make sure that you knew that we have been supplementing the funding for that as in addition to what we budgeted. We've been doing some supplemental funding. That's due to additional claims, changes in the Affordable Care Act, things like that. We have several, we actually listed 4 different recommendations for changes for this coming up year that we want to make effective for January the 1st. We want to get this to you all immediately so we can start making changes and get it to the administrator so they can start the process. The first recommendation that we came up with was increasing the deductibles. As I've talked to Marty about, I don't know if many of you are aware, because of the changes in the Affordable Care Act, the deductibles now, whatever we set for the deductible, any kind of copays that you go to a doctor's office, the emergency room copay, prescriptions that you've been purchasing, all those things are going towards the cost of the deductible. So because of that, if you have a lower deductible, you're going to reach your the number quickly. So you may have noticed you've gone to the drugstore and you haven't had to pay for your prescriptions. That's why you've already met your deductible. So that's why the first change we wanted to address was increasing the deductibles. Also increase out-of-pocket limits, increasing the urgent care copay, and then increasing the prescription copays. If you notice on the second sheet, it had the colored paper. It was the in-network was all highlighted in yellow. The out-of-network was in green. Of course, the top column talked about the current rates. We have the office copay visits, the deductible limits, the out-of-pocket limits, and urgent care, hospitalization, emergency room. Those were all listed on the top line. The proposed changes we listed right below that we want to change for this next year, effective January 1. The middle section was the same, basically the deductibles and your out-of-pocket limits, but those are for out-of-network. So if you had to go out of state and had to go to the hospital, these are what the deductibles and the copays would be. And then at the bottom, we've done the proposed changes for the prescriptions. When you go to the pharmacies that are in network versus out of network. So we've got, of course, the top is what we currently have the rates set at, and then the bottom is what the 2016 proposed changes will be. Hopefully that will address some of the shortfalls and any changes that we wanted to make. If you all want to change any of these numbers, that's okay. We are self-funded, but I didn't know if you had any questions. Tim Davis is here and Jeff Baltus from HealthSmart. So if you had any questions or anything for me or for one of them, we're here to answer right now.
What are the projected savings as you have presented it to the city?
We are not sure because we're not sure what the claims are going to be. If we had
We're a little
something
bit behind on
catastrophic.
claims.
Right.
Not us as a city, but HealthSmart in presenting those to the city for payment. As I understand, the last time we talked, right, where'd Jeff Hawkins go? Right, didn't we talk about
Jeff.
that we knew we had a bunch out there that were coming that we were going to have to pay, but we hadn't received those? Right, right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Right.
But if you go out of network, if you're on vacation in Florida and you have an emergency, you're going to be charged the out of network? I didn't think so. Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. That
That's always considered in network because you don't have
you don't have a choice. Okay, I did want to clarify that. Okay.
That's a huge jump. And I think we got to make some changes. I understand that. We're going to go from a $700 out-of-pocket single to a $4,600. That's huge.
Everything's going in there.
Well, I get that, but man, that's
kind of office visit copay, they all pile into that deductible. So the 700 would be that almost instantly, then the city would be responsible for 100% of that cost after that.
Because the prior policy, those copays did not go into it.
Right, because the
Okay.
Affordable Care Act is requiring this now.
Okay.
It's a requirement.
My point, and I'm gonna ask this again, because we were able to get this, I guess, 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, when we went back, and on the reimbursement schedule, we were able to renegotiate, with Hardin Memorial in particular. Because at that time, we had discovered that it was cheaper for us to take an employee, send them to Louisville to get an MRI and give them a $100 gas card than it was down here. My question is, did we look at that? Again, was that an option for us to go back and in the utilization review, were there certain services that we're getting hit with because we're trying to provide that particular service? Whether, I don't know whether it's a heart check or something like that. I'm just going to use that as an example, or MRIs, that we could go back to the providers because we're getting high utilization in that particular category, that we go back and renegotiate a better contract, which would help too with the savings.
Right. On the MRI contract that you have, it's almost bottom. On the
Okay.
contract, because I think your MRIs, if I'm remembering correctly, the contract don't hold me to the number like
Right.
650 for
Okay.
MRI, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
That's through the high field stuff and through Lincoln Trail here.
Yeah.
locally. So obviously the more volume they get, I think you have some room to push on that, and we could check the utilization, see how that's been working, moving in that direction. It's really important that we educate employees to move in that direction as well.
Yes.
But those are obviously just low hanging fruit yet.
Right. Right. The other question would be, is obviously a healthier group of city employees, the better we are with health insurance. You know,
That's
one
why
is
she put those incentives
right.
together.
Are we mandatory for everybody to do health assessments?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
To be able
else
to get
they
health
pay
insurance.
a
They,
huge fee.
yes,
Okay.
they actually get a discount on their health insurance costs by going to the benefits fair, which is actually November 6th for your all's information too. So we wanted to get these changes put in place before that so that employees could have those at the benefits fair. We're also going to need to have employee meetings to let them know of any changes as well. So we want to get those done in
But with
November.
that, if I check out that I got high blood pressure, okay, then obviously that puts me at some risk for the city, insurance from strokes and heart attacks, things like that. But, okay, so I go there and you assess that and you tell me that, then are we requiring those employees to, I don't know, whether it's work out or change the lifestyle a little bit to become healthier, or is it just mandatory that we go get tested and you find out that I got high blood pressure and boy, I got by with that one, so I get a discount on health.
Right. I think the hospital would tell them, they do not tell me results because of HIPAA, so I wouldn't
Right.
know if you had high blood pressure or not. But normally they're really good about saying, okay, you
They're
might
gonna
need to be
tell you.
retested another hour or two, or you might need to go back to your doctor, and they recommend going to your primary care
But I guess
physician.
what I'm looking for, do we have any way to regulate behaviors to improve health? Yeah, I can go to my doctor and he's going to tell me to do XXX, but if I don't do that, I'm not any healthier. I guess I'm trying to see,
But we don't know if you're unhealthy. That's
Can we manda-
violating your privacy.
can we mandatory some behavior change, I guess, is what I'm asking,
Well,
within
didn't-
HIPAA.
Didn't we talk some time ago, maybe Barb did, about starting a program?
We did.
Police, but
Well, the
I thought
police-
that it was open to.
We are, we are in the process now, we've talked to the hospital, and one of the changes we were gonna do is put into a fitness wellness program.
Yes.
So our committee is trying to come up with a way, if we need to base it on how fast you can walk, or kind of a fitness thing, and then do wellness classes. So if anybody was having an issue with high blood pressure, then the hospital would know, well, these people need to be targeted for this class, and they would have a way of tracking if somebody attended the training, or if they went online and took a class. So we're still looking into that. And there's other programs out there too that can track if somebody's in a high-risk category and they take the training, they can track to let us know if they did that.
But I don't think we
But
can ever mandate.
We
that.
can't.
I don't
This
think
was
we
all
can.
a voluntary program too, so we
But
can't
we'll-
tell employees
will
they
that
have to.
opportunity
Yes,
if we
they
work
will.
this out, yeah.
They will.
Tim, I noticed just a minimum increase in pharmacy visits and no increase in office visits. Is there any advantage to upping those a little bit?
Well, I think you may have had some higher numbers there. I just think that's probably up to the council to do. Yes, you can. Obviously, it's the carrot or the stick. specialist, 25 is low.
That seems low.
Yeah.
It is
Specialist.
low. 25 is about right for a normal GP. But we're seeing classifications of practitioners now and internists considered specialists now. So that most of us probably go to an internist. That would be considered a specialist visit. So those people who normally just have a general practitioner in their mind, and they may be an internist, and they're going to get hit with a larger copay. So I think you have to measure how that's going to impact and disrupt your employee base.
Yes, if we want them to encourage them to go to the doctor, then that might discourage if we raise it too high.
Yeah, there's a balance there
Mhm.
because you don't want somebody to abuse the program by
No.
going to the doctor over and over and
No.
over for the same, or no reason.
Well,
But at the
and-
same time, you don't want them to not go to the
True.
doctor because they don't want to pay the.
And you're right about employee coaching as far as education. If they get a high-priced medicine, for example, they may could just go back to the doctor and say, could you give me a generic? I'll pay a little bit less. And it may just be just asking. They just may not have ever asked before. And this will be a way to get education to them. So,
When we talked, Barb, our pharmaceutical was huge. That
Mhm.
number was huge.
It
So I am
was.
surprised that the recommendations are what they are.
It's mandated for generic.
Okay.
That's a state
Okay.
law.
Okay.
Everything's mandated generic.
Okay.
You do have high utilization in that. There would be exceptions made if they said do not substitute. If a doctor were to prescribe a prescription Nexium versus getting Prilosec over the counter, then that would have an impact on the plan. That's when exceptions are made. So the generic is working very well. And again, I want to reiterate, this is the city's plan, and that's something that you can manipulate that map however you choose to. This bottom line is a normal increase with comparable plans on the market. The big change is when the Affordable Care Act mandated that deductibles have to all go into this copay. It makes that hit that so rapidly that it puts an undue burden on the employer as far as cost. And that's why you see that larger number there. That is reached in a 20%. Once the deductible's met, that 20% kicks in up to that maximum of $4,600, and then it's paid at 100%.
And you know, those are the only numbers that I wish were not on this page, were the $4,600 out of pocket and the $9,200, because I hate to see a family have to, you know, it almost, and maybe that's the way the industry's going, but it's like all insurance policies are going to become catastrophic insurance policies.
This is not considered a high deductible plan, believe it or not. This is considered
Really?
a rich plan.
The $1,000 single deductible makes it that. I think the out-of-pocket is getting up there.
Actually, it's,
Because I can tell you the policies that I've seen, they have a $1,000 single deductible, $3,000 out of pocket.
that's
So, yeah.
and if the new plan would have this, you would see these higher numbers.
So
here.
4.5 times. If you've got a $1,000 deductible, you go $1,000 and then your out of pocket's $4,600. That's above the norm then, if it's 3 times.
And P-PINE is taking small incremental hits to that bucket. That's what it's
Yeah.
doing, instead of actually taking a deductible and multiplying that deductible like we used to do years ago.
Yeah.
Used to it 3 times, 2 times, right? You could do 1 time, but again, they allow up to 6,800 that you could go to, up to 13,500 on the family that you could go to. So you're considerably less than what is allowed under the Affordable Care Act. So,
Yeah, that's a great document.
well, and
But
right
with
now,
this, even though the deductibles and the co-pays have gone up, we're not in, right now,
Right.
based on this plan, we are not increasing any cost to the employees.
that's what I was
Is that
getting ready to
correct?
say. We're not, right now, we're not looking at the cost to the employees. It's going to stay the same. Now, that may be something we have to look at in the future, but right now, we don't recommend that.
And I think you have heard us say for many, many years, those of us that have been around some time, the city insurance plan, it has been the Cadillac. It has been an awesome,
Mercedes at times.
it has been the Mercedes and it's well known.
you have to be careful with that word because there's a Cadillac provision.
Okay,
You
yeah.
have to be careful with it. You come back and penalize the city for having a Cadillac plan.
And I agree. I mean, we have talked about that many, many years. And I know, well, there are people that have gone to work with the city, not because they want that job, but because they want the insurance plan. And I agree with everybody else. It really looks like a drastic jump when you look at the out-of-pocket, particularly on the single and the family and things like that. It is still the best plan that I know of any employer in this area. And you said it makes us more comparable, but I still think that we have a plan that is just phenomenal for our employees. I really do. I know.
Well, and the only thing that I would add is that it may be better to consider, and even if we don't do it this year, to consider slight increases in premiums from the employee, to do that very gradual instead of waiting here 2 or 3 years and all of a sudden back, you know, everybody gets 25, 30% increase.
Right.
But I don't think we have hit the employees that, I don't think this is gonna.
The only place this really affects the employees a lot is that maximum out of pocket.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So let's hope that those cases are very few.
You have a very good idea there, and I would recommend that you do that.
Just very slight increases, just small bumps.
We've had to come up with that year where it's been bang.
And then it.
And everybody's
it's hard to
mad.
tell.
But we have been told to do that over the last 10 years, and we've been reluctant
just
for some
never
reason
done
to
it,
do it.
yeah.
We've never done it.
But more now than ever,
Yes.
I really urge you to consider that and set up a system of getting that started, because I know you don't want to do it. It's not a favorable thing to do to the base, but it's still, it's to keep the plan in existence.
But
You have to.
even if you follow the, you know, the CPI or some other type of an index or something that just keeps us current, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Mhm.
Otherwise, we, you know, 10 years from now, we go with no premium increases, and then, you know, then we've got to really catch up.
True. It's true.
I don't think our employees are gonna complain. I really don't.
And I'm not talking about big bumps,
I
I'm just
know.
talking about small incremental bumps that
I
keeps
agree.
everything in line.
And we've had that opportunity to do it. We just haven't done it here.
And I will say this, Tim, and I know you made a business decision. I don't think the customer service is as good when you owned it. Okay? I'm gonna give you an example, and I shared this with Barb. I got an EOB and from a orthopedic guy from 2013, and got it a couple months ago. He charged me for services that he did not perform. I called the 1-800 number and I said, I did not get these services. He's charged for this. You paid it. That's wrong. She said, well, what do you want me to do? Wrong thing to say. I called Diane at your office and she went and fixed it. Yes, but that's not what we want. That's not what we want.
He's taking notes.
You know, that's not what we want.
narrowed the groups of customer service so that we don't have as many people working on multiple cases, but they're working on fewer cases so they get a better understanding and a better feel for the plan design, the community, the geography, the networks within the geography, et cetera. So we are sensitive. I was part of EDA with Tim, so as move through that transition, I now oversee all of the counties. And so I'm charged with the mission of solving these types of issues.
That 7370222 number is important.
Yes, it is.
That's Tim.
It is. It is.
Don't hesitate to call.
Yeah.
Did you just publish his number?
Yeah. Well, that's an office number. That's an office number. I'm not giving his cell phone number out.
Okay.
Any
you
more
ready?
questions? Or it's not a popular decision, but it is. I think it's where they.
I got a little heartburn about that 4,600 number, but.
I think we have to rely.
This will have a favorable impact on your region.
Yeah.
Eventually, I mean, this is going to impact that, and we will go back to them mid-year, approach them, see if they will give us some relief on that because of this plan design adjustment.
Well, and if you think about it, Marty, you're already spending, prior to this plan, you were spending that $25 every time you went. It just wasn't hitting the deductible.
That's
So you're
exactly-
still spending the same
Well, no,
amount
it
of
was
money.
in the deductible.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Not
No,
before
it
this
wasn't.
year.
No.
Not before this
Well,
year.
This year it was.
This year it
I'm
was,
talking
but not
about in
before.
2015, this year it was, yes. Yes.
That mandate, you're correct, they were spending it anyway.
That you were spending it anyway. This is just
Well, I
putting it in
agree.
a different pot right now.
Two numbers there that I really don't like, but I would like for us in the future, even if we don't do it this year, I think we need to get on a program to where there's smaller incremental premium increases.
I think we're gonna have to. I mean, that's gonna be mandatory.
Right.
Okay, you ready to make the motion to approve the change?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Ah,
Very, very important announcement. Saturday, October the 31st is Halloween. And you can trick or treat in Elizabethtown between 5 and 8 p.m. And there's no other business. I'm going to close. I need a motion to close the meeting to conduct deliberation on future acquisition or sale of real property by the city pursuant to KRS 61.810. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Jeff, question.
I bet you guys are tired.
that's a long day to be made.
That's a long, yeah, that is. That is a long day, sir. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you.
All right, thank you very much.
Good to meet you.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks for coming.
You need to look short.
Well, Susan, if you were so
I do. Well, the employees don't know yet. I'm going to right now.
Yeah, they do.
They watched it now.
Hey, you know the other one, I thought we had to do it by last Thursday because the date was October something on mine, so I rushed over there. I was afraid I was gonna be late, but yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
You get everybody excited for it.
I was really worried about it. And when she started talking, I decided.
Hello.
Oh, thank you.
Hello. 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 Hello.
So the warnings about this new ice age coming is all over the papers. And it never happened. And of course now the warnings about global warming, now that's not gonna happen because now it's gonna be warm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good, thank you. Well, there we go, yeah. I'm hoping I get to see her tonight. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anyways, welcome to come, you know, and we appreciate your comments, you know, it's good because, you know, but we don't have that many people come, you know, so it's supposed to hear, you know, for those that aren't just so deep, you know. Yeah. This morning,